What is up, guys? Welcome back for another Full Joy Mom video. I have changed my hat and my outfit to make it appear that it's a different day. I've also put up an umbrella because it is hot. This video is about how my daughter had 4 cavities, one in each corner of her mouth, including in some permanent teeth, needed fillings, and the Lord steered me in a different direction, and I was able to, through nutrition, completely recover all of those teeth. I actually watched it from the outside. It was wild. I'm gonna let you know everything we did to make that happen, so stay tuned.
You're watching Full Joy Mom.
Well, if you are new here, hi, my name is Dawn Marie. I am an intense human who moves in the direction of my motivation because I find that to be very useful. I also like forming habits, and I love doing my mom life to the best of my ability. I think it's the highest calling that I will ever receive in life, and my super simple life brings me so much joy. I'm so happy. I'm so content. I love doing life with Jesus, even when it's hard, even when it's challenging. It's just amazing. I'm so grateful. And standing in awe of him and the way that he's made our bodies has really caused a lot of change to happen in our lives. So I take my daughter to the dentist. I get this report back. I'm just gonna be really upfront. The dentist we were at, I did not have any confidence in them. It was like a very large, I don't even know how to describe it, but I just was like, I didn't get good vibes from them at all. It also happened to be around the time when we were moving and we're switching insurances, and we were needing to go to a different dentist. So at that point in time, with the amount of knowledge I had, I probably wouldn't have been brave enough to be like, oh, my kid needs cavities in all 4 corners of her mouth. Okay, cool. Like, we're just gonna not do that at all and leave this go and see what happens while we experiment with her nutrition. It just worked out that the new dentist that we were getting into, which I had trouble enough finding, couldn't get us in for 5 months. So it was basically like, all right, I have 5 months to go all after this thing, like as hard as I can, and see what happens and pray and believe the Lord. No, though, I don't believe it was some sort of instantaneous miracle, even though God's power was there, literally fueling me to keep on, because it was one of the most drastic changes we've ever made in our diet. And it took just so much courage and tenacity, but it's so worth it. I have a kid that doesn't have, a mouthful of fillings, which as I'm reading this book, I'm just going, oh, Jesus, praying over another child, because years ago, that other child, when she was little, had cavities in her mouth that we got filled because we didn't know any better. But as I was walking through that was when my eyes started to get opened up to this idea of phytic acid. And I was finding this study. I found the only thing I could find online was some study where they had 3 groups of people. One group didn't change their diet at all. One group went on a low phytic acid diet, and the other group was on a high phytic acid diet. And the group that was on a low phytic acid, which, just pause, phytic acid I talked about in my last video, is the nutrient ninja blocker. It is found in things like oatmeal and grains and nuts and seeds, and if it's in different quantities and different things, but it's very high in oatmeal. So when you don't soak or ferment the oatmeal, this phytic acid, which is there to preserve the nutrition on the inside of the seed, so that when you plant it in the ground, it can get wet, it can get soaked, it can open up, it has the nutrition to become a new seed. When you don't break that down by soaking, then there's such a high phytic acid content when you're eating that it's blocking your body from actually absorbing other nutrition in your system. So you kind of go, well, yeah, God created that, though. How could it be bad? Well, I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying it probably shouldn't be what you eat every single morning for breakfast. Like, I had one kid eating cereal, which felt like such a failure to me, because I knew cereal was not full of nutrition. No matter how you slice and dice it, cereal is not any good for you. So I have one kid eating cereal, and then I have another kid that's eating oatmeal every single morning, and I think I'm winning. It's like organic oatmeal, and she's putting honey in it and cinnamon, and I think that's the win. And it turns out I really fully believe that was the catalyst to her cavities. That was what caused the cavities in her mouth, because I understand that genetics do have some part to play in it, but like my kids were eating, I had 4 kids, everyone's eating the same thing in other areas of life except for this oatmeal. So pulled her off oatmeal as an every morning breakfast thing. They get it like once a month or maybe sometimes once a week now. And I can't give it to them soaked because I haven't figured that out yet. They just don't like it soaked, they won't eat it. So sometimes I make homemade granola and sometimes we just have regular oatmeal. But anyways, as I pulled her off that, she's never had any cavities again in her life. Her adult teeth are all coming in just fine. And so I've got that child and I'm reading this book and that child has cavities in her mouth and I'm realizing, okay, all the damaging chemicals that are in fillings. And I'm having these interactions with doctors where I'm literally just trying to figure out like what kind of filling is in her mouth and what color is this filling. And I feel so silly because I can't get any of this down. But I'm walking it out like, because I know this is truth and I know this is what is right. And so the Lord brings me this book now because this next kid is having some cavity issues. And on that first kid, all I knew to do was get them filled, try and make sure it was not like mercury in the fillings, and then continue to learn about it. So now by the time this next kid is having issues, I find this book from a friend who I remember vividly. This girl, I wasn't really close friends with her, but I just remember everyone being like, oh yeah, so-and-so's kids' teeth were like brown and soft and mushy, all their front teeth. And she went on this crazy diet and their teeth literally turned white and got hard. And you're like, what? And so she ended up sending me this book and it's called Cure Tooth Decay, Heal and Prevent Cavities with Nutrition by Ramiel, Nagel. I'll put the link to that below. So I forgot about that component. Holy Spirit is so good. He's so good. So at the same time, I have a daughter who's getting eczema spots on the crooks of her arm. And I'm ignoring looking it up because I know that eczema means you have gut issues. I know that. Like I've been around the crunchy world enough to be like, yep, eczema is not, it means you're having gut issues and you need to figure out how to heal your gut. And that just felt like this big scary thing for me. So right before Christmas, the Holy Spirit gives me literally this download plan of these are the foods I want you to eat and these are the foods that I do not want you to eat. And it was like, if I can survive this for 6 weeks, oh my goodness, I have no idea how I'll do that. And I just kept getting to like what the end of the period of time was that he told me. He would be like, it's okay, you can do it for a little bit longer. Like, what if you just do it for 2 more weeks? What if you just do it for a week? It was so exhausting, you guys. And I don't say that to deter you. I say that so that if you want to take this on, maybe you're in a similar position, so that you don't get in the middle of that moment where you're like, I can't do this. This is so hard. Yes, you can. You can do this. You can pray and ask for Jesus to not grow weary in what you know is the right thing to do, so that in due season you can reap the harvest. And the harvest is going to be your whole entire kid's bodies being healthy, because your teeth are a picture of what the health is of your body. So one of the amazing things I learned in this book is that phytic acid blocks the absorption of these nutrients. There are 4 main nutrients, and I'm not gonna, it's like magnesium, manganese, zinc, and I don't remember the 4th one, potassium maybe. You need those to make this fluid that is inside of your teeth. You have something called dentinol or dentine. It is this huge tube that stretches, I forget, it's like hundreds of miles long. And that brings fluid to the surface of your teeth. And that fluid that sits on the surface of your teeth protects your teeth from cavities. When you eat foods high in phytic acid, you don't have enough of these specific minerals. So then your body can't make this specific fluid and you can't get it to the surface of your teeth to protect from cavities and repair. So one of the biggest things we did is we came off of all bread, all grains, all nuts, all seeds, no beans. We ate raw milk, meat. We didn't do rice. I forgot about rice. Rice was high in phytic acid. We didn't do rice. Now this was temporary, okay? I mean, and what is fascinating is as the Lord gave me this whole plan, when I started reading this book, I went, it is the diet they recommend in this book. Like, you knew, Holy Spirit, you knew God, creator of the whole entire universe, who put all this stuff together anyways. I didn't even I read the whole book because the book had lots of knowledge and I needed it, but like, Holy Spirit knew. Not only was the diet that the Lord gave me almost to a T what was in this book, but it also included these variations that book didn't have for a kid who needs their gut restored and is on something called the GAPS diet. I probably never would have looked into the GAPS diet because it would have sounded so intimidating and overwhelming to me, but Holy Spirit shows me. He even showed me things like, at one point I wasn't making any progress with the kid with the eczema, and the Holy Spirit kept telling me I needed to have her on probiotics. And here I finally get the courage to look it up in this book I have, Nourishing Traditions, Sally Fallon Morell. Absolutely love her stuff. Highly recommend her kids book as well as the regular yellow book called Nourishing Traditions. And there's all this information. Even if you don't use the recipes and you just read the nutritional information on the sides, it is fascinating and will open your eyes to so much. So finally get the courage. I'm going to look up eczema in this purple book, find it. They're like, oh, the cure is go on this leaky gut GAPS diet, flip to the GAPS diet, which they happen to have the protocol in the book. And what's on there? Oh, probiotics. You need to be on all these probiotics. You need to increase them like this. I'm like, that's the same thing the Holy Spirit told me to do. So everyone is taking probiotics 3 times a day. They started with 1 capsule. If you increase that too fast, you can get stomach pain and just gas, bloating, discomfort. So you need to slowly increase that. So we slowly increased the amount of capsules, and we just did it as a family, you guys. Like, this was a team effort. That has always been our best way of combating things, is we just all are going to make these decisions together, and we're going to support each other. Not like, oh, this kid is going to have to do this special thing. Like when my daughter broke her toe, it wasn't like, no, like you can't do any of this stuff. You're just going to have to sit around and watch the rest of us carry on. It was like, hey, we all are going to slow down as a family together as much as we can, because this is what is best for Charlotte. And so we did the same thing with food. So we're on these probiotics. I'm making homemade bone broth. You can't get it from the store. It has seed oils in it. I mean, you can get Zoop, but just nothing compares to you throwing your leftover carcass of a whole chicken into a crock pot with some apple cider vinegar and bay leaves. You can look it up. You just leave it slowly simmer there for 12 to 24 hours, and you get all of the life-giving gelatinous goodness that's inside of those bones. It just tastes like the most delicious chicken broth you've ever had. It's not gross or weird. I have progressed to adding chicken feet to mine. I have friends that give me their chicken feet, and I'm so happy to do that because it makes it so that it's literally like Jell-O. That is so good for you. So they would have some of that every day. Do you think this sounds like it was fun and easy for me to produce in my kids? Like, obviously, you know it was not, right? But God gave us the grace to keep after it. So bone broth every day. We even went 2 weeks without any white potatoes. We didn't do sweet potatoes for a while. It really was as much red meat, bone broth, dairy, and eggs as I could get into them as possible. And then we did things like green beans, which I guess maybe would be a bean, but we did green beans. And then as close to no sugar as we could possibly get is where we were. And it was a challenge, but we did it. And she doesn't have cavities in her teeth anymore. Or she did it for 1.5 years, and then I got a little lax on things. And this last trip, it was like, hey, there's one little spot on one little tooth. It's superficial. And I was able to explain to the doctor, like, this is the success I had before. These are the very specific reasons why I'm not going to have it filled. This is what we will do. And he was like, he wasn't on board with it, but he also wasn't disrespectful, probably because I wasn't disrespectful to him. That went really well. So we'll see what she looks like at the next 6 weeks. But the other large thing was that we took, I actually purchased her special fermented cod liver oil plus butter oil capsules. And then the rest of the kids took a liquid fermented cod liver oil. Now, when you go down the path of researching that, you're going to find a lot of stuff about how fermented cod liver oil is not good for you. I found Sally Fallon Morell's podcast on wise traditions that was sort of like her pushback to that, and I found it to have enough evidence where I could see that, like, oh, the person who's citing this science also sits on this and this and this, and prayed about it and just had a peace enough that I was like, nope, we're going to continue with this fermented cod liver oil mixed with the butter oil pills. So I have a video about how to get kids to take that. Basically, I just use a syringe and add some syrup to it. And it still tastes pretty gross, but we do it because we want to be healthy. So let me think if there's anything else to add about that. Yeah, no, we just pretty much went on a radical diet and voila, her body healed herself. I could see her teeth like having the crevices and the brown, and I literally I watched her teeth like, oh my goodness, the brown was there. Like the last time I checked, there was brown all over the surface of your teeth and in all the cracks, like it's turning white again. This is wild. But you know, really, it makes sense. God made every other part of your body to be able to repair and heal itself. Why would your teeth be any different? And to just cover up what's happening in your teeth and be like, oh yeah, I'll just like drill that out and fill it in with a whole bunch of really toxic metals that are going to slowly leach into your body, like that can't be the solution. That can't be right. So I hope that this encourages you to do something that feels really radical and heal your kids' tooth decay if that's why you're here. Just an update on the eczema. I actually think it was peanut butter, and we had come off of peanut butter. Turns out natural peanut butter that has oil at the top of it. We're not eating any peanut butter right now. I'm really pretty sad about that, so let's not talk about it too much. But peanut butter is made from moldy peanuts. Mold is not good for you, as well as it almost sounds like, from what I can understand, the oil that's at the top of natural peanut butters is a worse form of a seed oil because of the level of linoleic acid that is in there as like seed oils that are being added to other things. Just really side note on seed oils, if you eat one bag of chips, you're getting something like 15 tablespoons of seed oils, and the amount of linoleic acid that's in there, you would have to eat like pounds and pounds and pounds of nuts, okay? Because nuts have this linoleic acid in them also. But you would never do that. You wouldn't even be able to eat that many. And so this peanut butter, because the oil sits there at the top and is so exposed to air, it's just being oxidized, which is making it even worse. And then you stir it back in the peanut butter. So she was eating a lot of peanut butter, and I was like, oh, protein, yay. And then I realized, oh my goodness, it's seed oils and mold. Another challenging thing we have to fix in our diet. But God gave us really delicious, really awesome, nourishing foods. And so we still enjoy a lot of fun food. You know, I make homemade yogurt, not yogurt. I mean, I do, but ice cream, homemade ice cream with really great cream, raw egg yolks, and syrup. And we all are like, it is so much better than anything you can find in the grocery store. It is delicious. So we are not going without deliciousness in our lives. We just are not having it be the thing we consume for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And man, I tell you what, once you build up an appetite for steak, like we love steak, we love burgers, we love chicken, like we're eating very good. It's just, you know, takes your brain a while to get off of all that junk food. And so now that we're on the other end of it, yeah, we do eat grains. We are having rice in our diet. We do have potatoes, but we still put the emphasis on vegetables and meat. So I forgot. That kid that had the eczema doesn't have it anymore. We went almost 6 months. It came back. This was before I knew about peanut butter, and I couldn't get it figured out. And then it sort of like let up on its own. I was thinking maybe it was something she had in her smoothie. I really couldn't get it figured out. But then I'm excited to see, apparently some people have more of an issue with it in the fall. I don't know why, or fall into winter. So this will be like the first fall into winter since last fall when it flared up and then went away. So I'm kind of excited now that we're off peanut butter to see what happens there. But like it was in the backs of her knees, like all down her arms. It was so bright red and inflamed and itchy. And so I'm so grateful that she is healed now and we don't have any ongoing issues. And I'm not like, oh no, it flared up again, it went away, it flared up, like there's none of that. It's just not here. So I am believing that it's not going to be here this fall and winter, and that hopefully we found the source, and we've also healed her gut, because that whole protocol we were on, we just all felt great after that, while also being on such a strict diet. We were happy to have some sourdough bread and some rice and some potatoes back in our life, but it was so worth it. So that's that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Share it with a friend if you need to. Check out that book if you are interested for more information. And I hope you all are doing well. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Until next time.